Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. I'm out for a beautiful nature walk right now. So this video is going to be for you if you are on the spiritual path, if you are on your own journey right now. Perhaps you're doing your own inner healing or just trying to figure things out and building awareness in your life and seeing how things are starting to work. Maybe seeing the truth, starting to begin to see behind the veil, the actual reality of what's going on here. This is going to be a really cool episode all around your ego. And I hope what you will take from this episode is a little deeper understanding of what our egos actually are and what we're meant to do with that piece to create more freedom and deeper trust in this journey. So I have been on my journey for a long time, and if there's one thing that I'm realizing, I think originally, and I think this is where we can sometimes go wrong, you know, different spiritual thought leaders out there who talk about the ego. In my opinion, there is a very big misconception of what our ego is and what we are supposed to do with it. And I think one of the greatest misconceptions is that we're supposed to kill off our ego. We're supposed to shed it. We're supposed to get rid of it. And that is what will allow us to find freedom and expansion and enlightenment in this experience. And in my opinion, and rather my experience here, it's been the exact opposite that has allowed me to find greater freedom and healing on the path. And what I've begun to see is that it's not actually about killing off your ego. It's not actually about shedding it. And I know, it's funny, I looked at the timestamp, it was 222. I know that that's what we are told in some cases, but one, that only creates more restriction, more constriction, more pain, more suffering. Your ego is actually a really important part of the process here. Like, let's not forget that your soul chose to come here to have a human experience. And part of that human experience is the ego, is your experience with your ego. And your ego is what allows you to have experiences here, because guess what the ego does? The ego separates you from specific things in order to have experiences, emotional experiences. And if there's one thing that I'm learning, it's that your ego is present in both the really challenging emotional experiences as well as the very open and expansive emotional experiences. Because in both types of experiences, you are being separated in a sense to experience it. If you weren't having the experience, then you would just be a soul being, if that makes sense. And so here's why you don't want to kill off your ego, because your ego also allows you to feel more heightened emotional experiences like joy, deep fulfillment, contentment, expansiveness, happiness, laughter. We get to experience those emotions when we are having a human experience. And so if you try to kill off your ego, if you try to get rid of your ego, then you won't be having that either. You'll just be sort of this neutral energy at all times. And maybe that's what you want. That's not why I came here. And so here's where you find your power. Here's where you get your power. If you can get better and better and better at practicing awareness and presence so that you can actually see when your human self, your ego, is attaching to something and then choosing what you want to attach to. This is where you become a master of that experience. Because we really do get a choice. And even if you don't think that you are choosing in your experiences, you are. Right? And when you go deeper to the root of why you attach to certain pain and suffering, this is an ego thing. If you go deeper, you will see that you've had experiences throughout your life where there's a pattern of you attaching to that emotion. There's a safety, a familiarity found in attaching to that emotion. And so this is where when you do the work, you go within yourself, you start to dig, you build awareness of your own patterns, of your own emotional patterns, and then you create space from these emotional addictions. That's where you begin to be able to choose what you are attaching to. And it's also not about just bypassing when these things show up. Can you be the beautiful awareness of when it is showing up? So being in that awareness of when it's showing up, recognizing that this is a human part of you, your ego, not bypassing it, holding space for it so that you can process whatever that denser energy is that's showing up, moving through it. I got cut off there for a moment. I had a phone call come through. It's not about bypassing the denser energy that shows up. It's really important to be able to be with the denser energy as it shows up and process it. Can you be with the emotion without getting attached to it? Be with it, move through it, release it. And what that also then does is clears your channel so that you can experience more of the open, expansive energy that you want to feel. It also allows you to feel more connected to spirit and receive messages and signs. And when you have a clear channel, it just makes life much easier. And so it's not about bypassing. You want to make sure that it's like this beautiful, delicate dance of being the awareness of when the denser, harder stuff shows up, being with that, processing it, moving through it, releasing it without getting attached to it. But then also letting yourself get attached to the really good stuff. Because that's what this is about. Again, unless you chose to come here and want to be Buddha, which maybe that's your goal, not mine. Right? There are some really beautiful experiences that we get to have here because of our ego. And so this is what it means to play the game. This is what it means to be in the matrix, but not of the matrix. And I really realized this the other day in my meditation, is that when you can get really good at being that awareness and choosing what you want to attach to and attaching to it because you know it feels really good, that's where then you also begin to create a whole other reality for yourself. Because when you are allowing yourself to attach to the really good stuff and you're creating more of that, that's when you really begin to call in more of what you desire, more of that really juicy, yummy goodness. And then also being able to choose when it's hard stuff that's showing up, not to get attached to it, but rather to allow yourself to be the awareness as you help the human in you process and move through that. Damn, when you can do this, that's when you really begin to become the master of your experience. And so this is not about killing off your ego. We don't want our ego to die unless you want to be sort of this neutral energy in your life at all times. And maybe that's what you want. That's not what I want. You know, I love the juiciness of life sometimes. Like when you're laughing so hard, your belly hurts. And when something is so beautiful, you're crying. And just the love that we get to feel, like all of that, I love attaching to that. And so then it becomes getting really good at discerning the harder, denser energy that shows up and not attaching to that, but still moving through it. It's a delicate dance. And if you need help with this is beautiful work that I do with clients. This is something that I offer in my specialty one-to-one sessions, freedom sessions. And these sessions are designed to help you move through an awakening you might be going through, or perhaps you're going through your own ego experience where you feel pieces of that shedding, or you feel pieces of that being in resistance, or you're wanting to build a deeper connection with spirit, or build more awareness of your human patterns, being able to move through them, expand through them, and step more into a frequency and into an energy that you want to embody. That's what these freedom sessions are all about. And I offer them because, man, have I been through so many of these and continue to, right? It is just as I heard somebody say more recently, you just get better and better at beating the level and moving on to the next one. This is all a game. And when you can learn to play the game really well, oof, that's where this experience gets pretty magical.